Stage number 1 is down. A comeback weekend for the Hutchinson Community College baseball team 1 week ago, or actually a little less than a week ago, as they rallied from a game down to defeat the Labette Cardinals in the best-of-3 Region 6 series. And now the top-seeded Blue Dragons send upon Eck Stadium and Tyler Field at Wichita State University. It's the Central District Baseball Tournament live on the Blue Dragon Sports Network. Steve Carpenter joined this afternoon by Denny Steckline as we get set for the number 1 seeded Blue Dragons getting set to take on the Fort Scott Greyhounds in a battle of a number 4 team out of the Jayhawk East. Fort Scott defeated Seward County in 2 games last week in Fort Scott, sweeping the Saints rather handily. And now they get set to take on the Blue Dragons, who come in with a record of 40-19. Fort Scott's record coming in 37-19. And Denny Steckline, it was 1 year ago we saw the Blue Dragons rally from a game down against Coffeyville and then make a pretty good run here to finish third. It's been a different type team, though. A lot of ups and downs with this Blue Dragon team. How do you assess this team coming into the Wichita portion of this tournament?
Very mysterious, Carp. Which team is going to show up? You know, you talked about the Labette series, and when we go back to game 1 of that series last Friday, if you went to 100 baseball coaches and said, your team is going to strike out 19 batters and allow only 3 hits, how many of you will sign up for that right now? Out of 100, how many are going to sign up for it?
Pretty much 100.
100 of them. And that's exactly what the Blue Dragons did last Friday and still found a way to lose the game. And it was let down defensively. I think 4 errors in that game. And just an inability to swing the bats. And so you go to game 2, and pitching was still solid. And we swung the bats, put 11 on the board. Zion Bolin had a tremendous game, including a grand slam, to really put that one out of reach. And then we go back to game 2 on Saturday. And Miguel Reyes and Ryan Summers combined for a complete game shutout, but the Dragons only put 2 runs on the board. So thankfully the pitching came through in that one because the bats didn't. You know, and the bats, once you get, even throughout the regular season, the bats can't take the day off 2 out of 3 games in a series. And certainly when you get to this point in the season, they can't take any games off. So
the last time that Fort Scott and Hutchinson hooked up, it was a very devastating day in many ways. 2015 opening round of the region in Hutchinson and Hobart-Detter Field, and Fort Scott came in and swept the Blue Dragons. And of course, you and I, good friend of ours, Tate Caston, he was injured coming around third with a potential tying run in the 8th inning. It was just a devastating afternoon. But that's the last time that Ryan Schmidt's Blue Dragons and John Hill's Greyhounds have hooked up in the postseason. John Hill in his 11th season has done a really nice job at Fort Scott in building this program up. They were a power back in the 70s. Kind of took some time off and were just kind of moderate. But John Hill's got this team going. They're a hard playing team, and you can't take a pitch off against a team like Fort Scott.
No, absolutely not. This is not going to be easy. And really, by the time you get to Wichita, none of the games are going to be easy. And I thought when you started to lead into that about Fort Scott, that was the last time I could remember these teams playing. And I knew you would know if that wasn't the case. And remembering Tate coming around third, was that the tying run or the?
Would have been the tying run.
The tying run, and ended up being the out. And certainly nothing you can fault. It's one of those things that happens. But a chance for redemption here for Hutchinson. Obviously, none of the players down there on the field today were a part of that series, but the coaches were, and they remember. So Blue Dragons hoping for a better outcome today.
In terms of redemption, the sophomores, they remember being at Lawrence Dumont Stadium last year and finishing third. They know they're capable of making 2 jumps up the ladder and get to Grand Junction. This is their last shot at it. So you saw the sense of urgency in Game 2 against Labette, and I hope that sense of urgency carries over.
Absolutely. And third place is a great finish, but you and I both know that in this tournament there's only one spot that matters. Only one of them goes to Grand Junction for the World Series. And so you want to be that team that finishes on top.
The Blue Dragons are going to be the home team for the duration of the tournament. It goes by higher seed. Hutchinson, the number 1 overall seed. So they will be the home team in any game they play. Let's get to the starting lineups. First for the Fort Scott Greyhounds, 37-19 for 11th year head coach John Hill. Leading off will be the center fielder Owen Wilson. Batting second and playing right field, Grant Goldston. Adam Rellahan will bat third and play third base. Eris Nakagawa is the designated hitter, and he'll bat in the cleanup spot. Hampton Hall, a very good left fielder, bats fifth for the Greyhounds. Andrew Palsy bats sixth. Batting seventh will be the second baseman, Alexei Cesarin. He bats seventh. Batting eighth is the shortstop, Robbie Merced, and batting ninth is catcher Jeff Vance. Right-hander Scott Shane will be the starting pitcher for the Greyhounds. So it's Wilson, Goldston, Rellahan, Nakagawa, Hall, and Palsy, Cesarin, Merced, and Vance, and Shane Scott, the starting pitcher. For the Blue Dragons, the lineup changed a little bit. The old defensive alignment is back in line. Still pretty much the same offensive order, but the defense switched back. For the Blue Dragons, Logan Sartori, the sophomore from Lincoln, leads it off. When he moves back to second base. Dylan Nedved moves back to short. He bats second. Zane Schmidt, the designated hitter, batting third for the Blue Dragons. Sophomore Riley Metzger bats fourth, and he plays left field. Zion Bolin, coming up that 6 RBI game a few days ago against Labette in game number 2. He bats fifth and plays right field. Batting sixth is the third baseman, Ryan Moritz. Zach Baxley struggling mightily coming into this one. He bats seventh and plays first base. Max McGuire is the catcher. He bats eighth. And Jeremiah Cesar bats ninth and plays center field. Starting this afternoon, his second major start of the year, left-handed freshman Brian Skillman. So for the Blue Dragons, it's Sartori, Nedved, Schmidt, Metzger, Bolin, Moritz, Baxley, McGuire, Cesar, and Brian Skillman. Your umpires this afternoon at third base will be Jay Sanderson. We had him for the Labette series. At first base will be Silas Drayden, and behind the plate, Nate Garrison. So final thoughts as we get ready for this one, Denny Steckline.
Well, Carp, it's you couldn't ask for a better day from a weather standpoint, and I think with what all these teams endured this spring with what Mother Nature dealt them, they all deserve this, and hopefully it holds on, but it doesn't look as promising for a couple of days down the road. It sounds pretty elementary, but strong defense and swinging the bats are going to be very important for the Blue Dragons today. And if they do that, good things can happen. Skillman has shown he's got a lot of confidence on the mound. And so if he throws strikes and lets his defense do their job, and if they do their job, we may be happy with the results.
The numbers on Brian Skillman, freshman left-hander, 1-0 record with 1 save and a 1.96 earned run average. He's making his fourth start, 9th overall appearance. Skillman's worked 23 innings, allowed 15 hits, 6 runs, 5 have been earned. The numbers here, better than 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, 27 punch-outs to only 8 walks. A lot of Dragon pitchers don't have that, and the opponent's hitting just 181 against. They face a Fort Scott lineup hitting 346. There is some power on this team, 72 home runs. And it's going to be a very, very classic Jayhawk East versus Jayhawk West showdown. And it may come down to, just like you said, pitching and defense.
Not only have they hit for power, but 76 stolen bases, only caught 10 times on the season, so they're not afraid to run once they do get on base. So
Owen Wilson will lead it off, the sophomore outfielder. Again, hitting 364, 9 home runs, 34 RBIs out of the leadoff spot. So here we go. It's the Dragons and the Hounds from Eck Stadium, Tyler Field in Wichita, the Central District Tournament. Welcome to the Blue Dragon Sports Network. Brian Skillman into the line, the first pitch, right over the outside corner, a strike. And first pitch coming at 4:05, and that is 3 in a row that we've started right on time today. I like when that happens. Skillman's breaking pitch. Misses a little bit high and maybe inside ball one.
So you're taking credit for clock management, which...
Well, the first 2 games I am. Because I'm over in the booth running the game ops. Up high a pitch, and it's now 2-1. Skillman stepped in the Cloud County series and got a spot start when Jake Bunz was unavailable, and Miguel Reyes was moved up to the 1 slot. Pitched 6 strong innings and a no decision. Dragons came back to win that game 6-3.
And didn't Skilly come in when Bunz tried to go against Labette? Was that Skillman?
That was LJ.
No, that was LJ. My apologies. That was graduation day, so I had to work that day. I couldn't come and work the game with you.
So it was your fault. You weren't at the ballpark.
I was in charge of pitching that day. 19 strikeouts, only 3 hits allowed. You were in charge of offense.
Skillman looks in, gets the sign from Max McGuire, the pitch. Misses high and away, a full count.
You mentioned Wilson's 364 batting average, and you would expect that would lead a lot of teams. And with this Fort Scott team, that's 4th on the team, so they do hit the ball well.
Here's the payoff. Popped up, and it will get back and out of play. Wilson, a .469 on-base percentage, slugging .654 out of the leadoff spot. He has 59 total hits, 16 doubles and 2 triples to go along with the 9 home runs. The wind and the payoff. Hit well to right and deep. Bolin going back at the track, at the fence, reaches up and makes the catch.
Wow, what a start for Zion.
He tracked that perfectly, didn't worry about the wall, knew where he was at on the track, reaches up and makes a tremendous catch to start this one. Zion, the last month, maybe one of the best overall Blue Dragons. What a play. Now the right fielder, Grant Goldston.
Certainly been swinging the bat well and saved a run right there, because when that was off the bat, Carp, you and I both thought it was 1-0.
382 average for Goldston. 4 home runs, 39 RBIs. First pitch to Goldston was a ball. Now that's a strike on the inside corner from Skillman, and the count evens at 1-1. Skillman not afraid to throw inside of the right-handed batters. That's just his aggressive nature. Breaking pitch fouled off the foot of Goldston, and now it's 1-2 in favor of Skillman. First year at Eck Stadium after 15 years at Lawrence Dumont. Drove by it yesterday, got a little choked
A little
up.
sentimental, isn't it? Not much to see there, is there?
Not much, just McLean being closed down. The pitch, foul tipped. They're putting in the water lines for the new ballpark. It is yet to remains to be seen if this tournament will move back to the new ballpark once it's built. There has been talk between Region 6 and the new team owners. Skillman just misses a little bit low in the count even 2-2 on Goldston.
You know, not only Region 6, but the NBC World Series in late July, early August, and how that impacts that game or that tournament as well.
That ball is rocketed into left field for it getting over quickly is Metzger, and he'll hold Goldston to a single. So 2 hard hit balls off of Skillman.
Watching Riley take the angle on that, and then the throwback into Nedved, it's going to be, Hutch plays on a natural turf field, and the adjustments they need to make. I know they came over yesterday to practice, but the trajectory of the ball and what it does when it hits that turf is going to be an adjustment they're going to have to be prepared for.
Now it's the 3-hole hitter, third baseman Adam Rellahan, a redshirt sophomore, 344 average, 7 home runs, 39 RBIs. That pitch is in the dirt, blocked by Max McGuire. Real quickly, the defense for the Blue Dragons. Left to right in the outfield, Metzger in left, Cesar in center, Bolin with that tremendous catch in right. Ryan Moore's back at third, Dylan Nedved at short, Logan Sartori at second, Zach Baxley at first, Max McGuire behind the plate. And pitch sails a little bit outside, and it's 2-0 to Rellahan. Don't think this is a Fort Scott team you want to get behind very consistently in counts, because they swing it well. Slugging .567 as a team. The pitch. That one paints the outside corner. Fort Scott fan didn't think so, but from our vantage point, looked pretty good.
I think that Fort Scott's fan's name is Mom, I'm going to guess.
Here's the 2-1. Lifted foul out of play to the left.
You know, it's good to see a lot of fans here. You see some Fort Scott fans, and I'm looking down at several pockets of Hutch people, including, you know, you talked about Tate Castens, and Tate's dad, James, is probably tuned in. He does pretty religiously, and I see he's already been active on some of our tweets. But Tim and Annette Hellman are sitting down there, the parents of Michael Hellman, now playing for the Fort Myers Miracle and the Minnesota Twins system, former National Player of the Year for the Blue Dragons. So that speaks a lot to the family atmosphere that Ryan Schmidt, and really it's been created over many years.
Here's the payoff. Slice foul. Pitch before that was just off the corner. The Dragon fans kind of grumbled. That looked pretty good. It might have been a little bit low. We have a much different view from this press box than we did at Lawrence. We're much higher. So I'm still kind of getting used to the eye level.
Yeah, and the difference between this and what we see at home with Hobart Detter is here we're back quite a ways, whereas at Hobart Detter, all these seats that are down in front of us, we're on top of those. And so we're looking not quite straight down, but pretty close, pretty sharp angle down at home plate.
The pitch. Lifted foul again. So this has already become a 20-pitch inning for Brian Skillman. Who was going to start this game was a matter of a lot of conjecture in the baseball office the last couple days. Once again, 3-2 runner goes. Hot shot into right field. That's a base hit. Rella will head for third. And it's runners at the corners, 1 out for the Greyhounds. So Goldston goes first to third on the Rella hit. That'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Eros Nakagawa. Nakagawa, second on the team in home runs with 13, a .359 average, 46 RBIs, 55 total hits, slugging .667. Dragons could use a double play ball. They've got several of those in the Labette series. Breaking pitch from Skillman, a little bit low.
A lot of power in the 4-5 hole for the Greyhounds with Nakagawa in 13 and then Hampton Hall right behind him with a team-leading 18.
Hall will receive a lot of Jayhawk East awards, most likely with his season he's put together. Skillman took something off of that one, and Nakagawa swings through it, count even at 1-1. 2 hits in the inning for the Greyhounds. How big right now, at least to the moment, how big is that play by Zion Bolin to start the game? 1-1 pitch. Another changeup is swung through and missed. Count now 1-2.
Double play ball would be significant here. They've hit it hard, but if Skilly can get out of this without giving up a run, it does a lot for his confidence and the mindset of the Blue Dragons.
The lefty comes set and delivers. Fastball misses high, and it's 2-2. Temperature probably approaching 90 degrees. Earlier today, there wasn't a wisp of wind in this ballpark. Now it's blowing out of the south. Swing and a miss, strike 3, another changeup, 2 away.
Big strike out there for Skillman.
And that's one of the reasons why Skillman drew the start. He will battle you tooth and nail. He's not going to back down in any situation. Another big batter to go. Hampton Hall. Hall hitting from the left side. Team high 18 home runs with 73 RBIs. 404 average, 69 hits. Runners at the corners, 2 away, top of the first. Pitch in the dirt, good block by McGuire. Everybody stays put. And notice what Max did. He threw the mask to the side.
He learned his lesson, didn't he? Those of you that don't know what we're referring to, there was an instance earlier this season
against Redlands.
And I'll finish this here in a minute after.
The pitch. Pulled foul, 1-1.
So a similar play where Max blocked one out in front of him and went out to pick it up. And whether he did or didn't, the umpire in the field ruled he used his mask to pull the ball back to him. And everyone learned something that day.
The pitch. Foul back. 1-2 the count.
That is illegal use of equipment, which we knew there was such a rule, but no one knew how it was to be administered. And Redlands had runners at first and second, and the field umpire said it's a 3-base infraction and scored both of them, and it was
1-2. Misses high, 2-2 to Hall.
It was only after Coach Ryan Schmidt had argued and failed to convince them that they were wrong that he said, we're playing this under protest. So we took about a 30-minute break while the umpires made phone calls, checked the rule book, and found out while it is an infraction, it is a 1-base infraction.
On that particular play. Hit ball. If you hit it and do it, that's 3 bases. The pitch. Upstairs, full count.
It's 3 bases on a batted ball, 2 bases on a thrown ball, and 1 base on a pitched ball. And as that was a pitched ball, and the big part of that was the 2 runners had to go back. They went to second and third. The Blue Dragons got out of the inning without allowing either of them to score.
3-2, 2 out. The pitch. Did he go around? Yes, he did. Nice job by Brian Skillman. Fort Scott gets runners off the corners with 1 out. Skillman comes back with strikeouts of Nakagawa and Hall. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left after a half inning. Fort Scott nothing in the Blue Dragons coming up. Welcome back to Eck Stadium in Wichita, everybody. Steve Carpenter, Denny Steckline with you on the Blue Dragon Sports Network. Fort Scott comes up empty after getting runners on the corners and 1 out. And now the Blue Dragons get set to face sophomore right-hander Shane Scott. Scott making his 12th start of the year. He's had a decision in every start so far. 7-4 record with a 4.18 earned run average. 56 innings pitched for Scott. He's allowed 55 hits, 37 runs. 26 of those have been earned. He has struck out 53 and walked 19, and 3 home runs allowed. He faces a Blue Dragon team hitting .301. They do have 80 home runs for the year. That is 5th most in team history. A team that will strike out a ton. They have already more than crushed the old school record for strikeouts. Almost 100 ahead of the old pace. But we'll get into that later if we have to. Logan Sartori to lead it off for the Blue Dragons, the sophomore from Lincoln, Nebraska. And the first pitch is swung on and pulled foul just outside of third. Logan, a notorious first pitch swinger. Sartori coming in hitting .314 with 11 home runs, 57 RBIs.
Taking his talents to College Station, Texas next season, Texas A&M.
Following former Blue Dragons second baseman Michael Hellman. The pitch. Over the corner, but a little bit low, and the count is now 1-1.
It's one of those where we can't see up, down, but it looked really good from here, but we're not going to argue with that call.
Slightly open stance for Sartori. Time called momentarily.
Michael Hillman's teammate Nolan Hoffman made the trip to College Station with him. Now, we mentioned Michael in the Twins organization, Nolan in the Seattle Mariners.
The pitch. Hard hit ground ball, deep short, fielded by Merced. The throw is not in time. That's an infield single. So good hustle down the line by Sartori. An infield single to short, and that'll bring up shortstop Dylan Nedved. The sophomore from Shawnee, headed for the University of Iowa. .314 hitter, 11 home runs, 57 RBIs. He may be one of the hottest Dragon hitters. He's hit safely in 7 of his last 8 and hitting at a 408 clip over that stretch. Couple of home runs in there. Breaking pitch from Scott, called strike. I don't have all my stats that I normally have taped up all over the press box at Deader at my disposal. That pitch low and away. Good stop by the catcher from Fort Scott, and the count even at 1-1.
Carp, I've seen what you tape up at Deader, because when I fill in for you, you email it to me, and it takes me about 3 reams of paper to print it all out, and then I sit there and look at it and go, what am I ever going to use this for?
And you never know when you're going to need something out of it. The pitch, hard hit ball, left field, that's a base hit. Sartori will make the turn at second, but put the brakes on, and it's back-to-back singles to start the Blue Dragon first.
But don't get me wrong, I do appreciate those stats, because if I ever wanted to know what Dylan Nedved has done in a no-out, runner-on-first situation on a Wednesday at 4:21 p.m. with the barometric pressure wherever it's at, you've got that statistic.
I will have that stat. Here is Zane Schmidt, a Player of the Year candidate for the Jayhawk West. Team high 381 average, league leading 20 home runs. Second now in the league with 65 RBIs. Pitches high and outside. Last week was an kind of weekend for Zane, just 2 for 13. Drove in just 1 run. He's been swinging at a lot of pitches out of the zone as of late. There's a lot of Blue Dragons. They've all kind of expanded their zones to pitch. Way inside. Probably should have hit him.
You can tell he's a freshman, because a veteran Blue Dragon would have worn that pitch and reached the Blue Dragon way. He worked awfully hard to get out of the way. We need to coach him up on that one.
Only 3 hit by pitches by Zane this year. So the Dragons have a scoring opportunity after wriggling off the hook in the top of the first. Out of the stretch, the pitch. Hard hit ball. That's a base hit right field. Sartori is being waved around third. Here comes the throw. It's not in time, and the Dragons have a 1-0 lead. Zane Schmidt driving in his 66th run of the year. Dylan Nedved goes first to third, and the Dragons are on top 1-0. And what I like, 3 hard-hit ground balls, Denny.
Yeah, they're putting them in play. They're hitting them hard. They have not been fooled at this point.
Now sophomore Riley Metzger. Riley had 2 home runs in the Labette series. He was 3 for 10. Both those home runs were solo shots to lead off innings. Riley second on the team with a .355 batting average, 9 home runs, 49 RBIs. Runners at the corners, nobody out. The Dragons lead at 1-0. 3 hits in the inning. Scott comes set, now delivers. Breaking pitch inside corner is a pretty nasty looking pitch. Unhittable for a left-hander at strike 1.
So I threw a tweet out there acknowledging that Michael Hellman's parents are here, and I tagged Michael in it. And Michael replied already saying, "Goon for life, Schmitty for president."
The pitch. That's a line drive right field base hit. Down the line from third is Nedved to score. Heading for third is Schmidt. He will make it without a play. 4 straight base hits, and Hutchinson leads it 2-0. Metzger driving in his 50th run of the year. So Hutchinson, 4 straight hits, all singles. And as great as the home runs are, they're sexy, they're what now about baseball. Singles and doubles continue to keep pressure on teams, and that's what you like to see. That's Blue Dragon baseball. Now Zion Bolin had a huge game number 2 against Labette. He catches a strike on the outside corner. Overall, Zion Bolin hitting .295, 5 home runs, now 33 RBIs. He has hit safely in 11 of his last 12 games, and his average has come up some 57 points. Now speed offering from Scott misses high, and it's 1-1. Last week, Bolin was 3 for 11. All 3 of those hits came in game number 2, the 11-4 Hutchinson win. That included a double and a grand slam. His career first in the 4th of the year, and 1 slice foul out of play to the right.
Carp, we talked about it a little bit during that Labette series on Saturday, and we could see it in the Blue Dragons, and we're seeing a much different approach at the plate here, because they were coming to the plate trying to hit a 10-run homer every time up. And it's just much better plate discipline and much better approach here.
1-2 pitch. As soon as you say that, Zion swings it one out of the zone.
He does.
Yeah,
so blame me for that.
So one away for the third baseman, sophomore Ryan Moritz. Mo hitting .315, 53 total hits, 2 home runs, 24 RBIs. Last week against Labette, Moritz was 4 for 8, but he walked 5 times. And that was one of the most pleasing facts that I saw of the weekend was Mo was taking pitches instead of chasing like he had been as of late. Taps this one foul at the plate.
Mo's right on top of the plate as well. He's not giving the pitcher much of a target.
I'll admit I have been a little hard on Mo at times throughout his Blue Dragon career with some of his approaches at the plate, but late in his sophomore season, he's locking it in. When he's going good, that ball is ticketed to left center field. Here's the 0-1. A little tapper along first, and it will go foul. There is a crown out there, so anything hitting near the lines most likely will roll foul here at Tyler Field Eck Stadium. 0-2 the count to Moritz. 2 runs already across. Singles by Sartori, Nedved, then RBI singles by Schmidt and Metzger. Scott gets his sign and comes set. Now the 0-2. Foul tipped into the glove of catcher Jeff Vance. That's a strikeout. Now 2 away. Go ahead.
Carp, you've seen a lot of baseball. You've been to a lot of baseball stadiums. And I know you're much more of a traditionalist. I think both of us are. What do you think about the turf, everything turf, everything here but the pitcher's mound?
Well, if it's got to be this way, having a dirt mound is much more appealing. And I'll get into why.
I agree with you.
Here's a pitch to Zach Baxley. Zach, just 3 for his last 32. His average has dropped to .278, 4 home runs, 30 RBIs. Last week in the Labette series, Zach was 1 for 9. Struck out 4 times. We were up at McPherson in that Cloud County series. They have an all-turf mound. I saw all kinds of slipping. Check swing foul by backs, and it's now 1-1.
What I always worry about, but you don't see it and you don't really hear about it, is when a pitcher and they're wearing their spikes on a turf mound. I worry about something, a spike getting caught and twisting a knee, an ankle, some kind of an injury. I'm surprised we don't hear about that happening more frequently.
1-1 pitch, swung on and missed. I think catcher Jeff Vance thought it was strike 3. It's only strike 2. I will say this about the turf. It does save. If we get rain, it's going to save this tournament.
No question. And I'm with you there. I love it for the convenience factor and the upkeep. But I love the grass field at Hobart Detter.
1-2 pitch. One hopper to short, fielded by Merced. The long throw across. The throw pulls Paulsley off the bag, but the tag is made, and the Dragons are done in the bottom of the first. 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 left. And after 1 here at Eck Stadium in the Central District opener, it's Hutchinson 2 and the Greyhounds nothing. Welcome back to Eck Stadium in Wichita, the opening day of the Central District, or better known as Region 6 baseball tournament. Hutchins went to a 2 spot in the bottom of the first, leads Fort Scott 2-0. Other action today, 2 games already complete. Game number 1, Jayhawk West co-champion Butler was defeated by Barton 6-3. And then the game previous to this, Cali run-ruled Cloud County 8-0 in 7 innings. Coming up later will be Colby and Johnson County. Top of the second rolls around. It will be a ball from Skillman to Andrew Palsy. The pitch. That's a line shot to right field toward the corner. This could be extra bases for Palsy. Bolin will hustle it in. And the throw not in time. It's a leadoff double for Palsy to start the second inning.
So he's still not fooling any of the Fort Scott batters with his deliveries. But we'll see if he can escape this inning as he did the first. And we're already seeing some action in the Blue Dragon bullpen, Carp. A couple of arms are down there.
One probably is L.J. McDonough.
L.J. is on our right as we look down there, and I did not get a good look to see who is on our left. And the pitcher is the furthest one from us, so we can tell you who the catchers are, but we can't tell you. And it's Matt Hopkins, number 2.
Here's second baseman Alexei Cesarin.
And now Matt's going to take a seat for a while, and L.J. is going to start getting loose.
L.J. has been big in long relief as of late for the Blue Dragons. He's picked up a couple of saves and a win, and some key moments for Hutchinson in long relief. One of those, Cesarin, is popped up. Shallow right, drifting back is Sartori. He's going to be a tough play, and he makes the catch.
Nice play by Logan.
It's a high sky, and honestly, JI Conference teams have not played in high skies very often this year. So just a play going over his shoulder plus the atmospheric conditions made that even doubly tougher. Nice play by Sartori. One away, and that brings up shortstop Robbie Merced. Merced hitting in the 8 slot. Here's the pitch. Tell him I am not on the computer this game.
Yeah. We're getting some feedback from one of our Blue Dragon red shirts, Jake Brown, commenting on the music being played here at Eck Stadium, which Carpin, I think, is outstanding. Classic rock. Jake does not share that opinion.
A pitch from Skillman misses high, and it's 2-0 to Merced. Palsy at second with a leadoff double, now one away.
You and I have to sit and endure the walk-up songs and things these guys are choosing these days. This is our reward for that.
It's our payback. The pitch. Hard hit ball right to third. Knocked down by Moritz. He picks up, holds the runner, and throws him out. Nice play by Moritz. And you alluded to it before we went on the air, Denny, the switch back from defense, moving Mo back to third. It paid dividends there because he had time. He knocked it down, but had time to not only hold the runner, but throw the other runner at first out.
Absolutely. And, Mo had struggled there a few games ago, and that prompted the changes in the kind of musical chairs that Coach Schmidt played, moving Nedved there, putting Mo at second, Sartori at short, and going back to what of the more standard lineup that we saw early in the year, and Mo made a nice play there.
Jeff Vance, the 9-hole hitter, the catcher hitting, .323 average. No home runs, 14 RBIs, hitting from the left side. Fort Scott throwing a lot of lefties up against the left-handed pitching Skillman. The pitch, showing bunt, pulls back, high, ball 2. It was a similar start for Skillman at Cloud. He hit early, but they came back hard. That pitch popped up in the infield. Who's going to take it? Third baseman Ryan Moritz in foul territory makes the catch. And Skillman works around the leadoff double by Palsy. No runs, a hit, 1 left after an inning and a half. Dragons 2, Greyhounds nothing. If the Blue Dragons are victorious, they will play tomorrow night at 7 o'clock against the Colby-Johnson County winner. If things go south this afternoon, we'll be back with you tomorrow about 12:45. Much prefer the later game.
No question. No question. You're going to have to call that one on your own, though, because I plan on them playing at 7. And I'm going to have a commitment in downtown Hutchinson tomorrow promoting the upcoming season of the Hutchinson Monarchs, summer collegiate team that plays at Hobart Detter, and several of these Blue Dragons have played for them either in the past or will this summer.
Dragons sent 7 to the plate in the first, scored 2. Now it'll be Max McGuire, Jeremiah Cesar, and Logan Sartori to face Shane Scott here in the second. Dragons got 4 hits off of Scott in the opening, all singles. The right-hander winds and fires and misses inside for a ball to McGuire. The sophomore transfer from Missouri State by way of Lincoln. Max now hitting. 246 for the year, 5 home runs, 24 RBIs. Pitch is outside and it's ball 2.
Not only 4 hits in that bottom of the first, but it was the first 4 Blue Dragons who came to the plate, all with sharp singles.
The pitch. Big swing by Max and he fouls it off. 2-1 the count to the Dragon catcher.
Shout out to James Castens tuning in from Denver. So the Mile High City.
Or loyal.
Tater Tot's dad.
King Tater Tot.
King Tater Tot.
Pitch outside, 3-1.
Would that be a supersized order, Tater Tots?
Supersized Tater Tot. Now, and that's not making a remark on James's overall size.
Absolutely not. James, don't take it that way.
3-1 pitch.
And if you did,
Eyeball 4.
It was Carp who said it.
I'm so used to being thrown under the bus by Denny, it doesn't even affect me anymore. Now the 9-0 hitter is freshman center fielder Jeremiah Cesar.
Speaking of old people tuning in, Brady Hoover.
Oh, my goodness.
Shouts out on Twitter. He's got a screenshot here.
Is he hashtag AARP on that? Bunted by Cesar foul. Jeremiah's got a couple of bunt hits this year, but he's got a lot of work to do. He swings out on that front foot really bad and hits a lot of balls in the air that you would love to see him on the ground. He's hitting 267. No home runs, 8 RBIs.
At times, doesn't it almost look like a softball approach?
Does.
You know how some of those batters in softball get a running start at it?
Because a slapper will hit off the front foot.
Yeah, and his right foot is almost on the front white line of the batter's box.
Caesar showing bunt early, the pitch. Gets this one down. Bobble by the pitcher is only played by the first, and he's safe. That'll be an error, but a sacrifice for Cesar. Scott had it. He was thinking about 2, and all of a sudden he bobbled it and then realized Cesar, who could be the fastest Blue Dragon of all time, speeds down the line and is safe at first. But he will get the sacrifice. So now it's runners at first and second and back to the top of the order, and Logan Sartori, now number 9 on the career hits list with 143 career hits with that first inning single.
It's going to prompt a visit to the mound from the Fort Scott dugout, and I think they're just going to try to calm things down here. And you're right on that pitcher. I think he bobbled it initially, but then he realized the speed going down the baseline, and that caused him to speed up everything from there. And Jeremiah was able to leg it out, and that might have been one of the shortest mound visits.
Earlier today in the Butler game, we were talking about the speed of this turf and everything. Harrison Dank from Barton hit a little dribbler to second baseman from Butler. And you talk about lollygagging play. There's a shot center field over the shortstop's head, base hit. That's only going to move everybody up 90 feet. McGuire had to hold tight to make sure the shortstop wasn't going to catch it, Robbie Merced. But now it's bases loaded, nobody out. Sartori now 2 for 2. McGuire at third, Cesar at second. Nedved Sartori at first. Now Dylan Nedved a single his first time up. That's now 5 hits for the Blue Dragons.
It's one of those innings the Blue Dragons need to capitalize on because from Fort Scott's standpoint,
One's rocketed foul.
They've given Hutch a lot this inning with the walk in the air, and then the sharp hit ball by Sartori is the only true, you could say the only true base runner they've earned. But bases loaded now, nobody out. They need to make a statement here and add to this lead.
And jumping on those types of mistakes has not been a forte of the 2019 Blue Dragons overall this season. Scott comes set with the bases loaded to pitch. Off speed, just misses outside, 1-1 to Nedved. Nedved right now currently 6th on the all-time hits list with 152 hits.
Be moving on to Iowa City, playing Big Ten baseball with the Iowa Hawkeyes.
He's already been warned he will be heckled at
I was going to say, are you going to cheer for him, Carp, being Mr. Cornhusker?
No. The pitch. Change up high and inside, 2-1. I will cheer for Dylan during batting practice.
But, that's kind of you.
Yes, but come game time, no, it's not going to happen.
You're all heart.
But you got to realize it's not just it's Nebraska versus Iowa. It's that whole thing. It's just like KU, Missouri, or Kansas, Missouri. Let me preface that. Anybody, hard hit ball in the center field, base hit. McGuire scores. Cesar being waved around, skirt. He will score. The center fielder bobbles, and the throw into second, not in time. Hit and an error. So 2 RBI single for Nedved. That makes it 4-0. There will be an error charged to Owen Wilson, allowing on the bobble Nedved to go to second.
Nedved was going to be content there at first, but then you're right, as the center fielder. And that might have been one of those turf plays we were talking about earlier. It really scooted out there, and he had a hard time corralling it, allowing Nedved. And Dylan, to his credit, really turned it on. Because a good throw might have made it a close play. But now second and third, nobody out, and a 4-0 Blue Dragon lead. Yeah. And that's going to be the end of the day.
So we are going to have a pitching change. Shane Scott goes 1+ innings and leaves after 11 total batters faced. Dragons with 4 runs and 6 hits and primed for more. Pitching change occurring here at Eck Stadium. We'll tell you about the new Greyhound pitcher after this break. This is Blue Dragon Baseball. Fort Scott coach John Hill goes to a left-hander, Dawson Cantwell, a redshirt freshman. He is on for the 12th time, 6th in relief. He has 5 starts, a 6-0 record for Cantwell, and a 2.88 earned run average. So his mission right now, if you're Fort Scott, is to keep this at 4-0. So likely Dawson Cantwell might have been a Game 2 starter, but John Hill, trying to keep this game within striking distance, goes to one of his best. 34 in the third innings pitch for Cantwell, 37 hits, 17 runs, 11 earned. He has struck out 51 and walked 13. Striking out 13.37 batters per 9 innings. So maybe not a great matchup for the Blue Dragons, which strike out quite a bit. But right now the Dragons with a pretty good approach at the plate. 2 runs already across on the 2-run single by Dylan Nedved. Sartori's at third, Nedved's at second. And that'll bring up Zane Schmidt lefty-lefty matchup to face Cantwell. Schmidt an RBI single his first time up. His 65th RBI of the year. The wind in the pitch. Gets through the catcher. No advancement, though. Sartori did not get a good secondary. And the ball disappeared momentarily and then came out the backside.
It did, and the catcher was screening the ball from Logan, and the catcher didn't even realize at first that he didn't have it. So it was one of those plays where it didn't look like the ball got through, and everybody just late reacting.
Cantwell with runners at second, third will go out of the stretch. Here's the 1-0 to Schmidt. Way outside a slider, 2-0.
Carp, you know as well as anybody with a tournament like this, the importance of preserving your pitching. And this is not the type of scenario any coach wants, and certainly not Fort Scott to start this off where you only go 1+. Now, the benefit to that is today's starter could probably come back. Pitch count not that extensive.
Right.
So come back at a later point in the series.
We'll get Scott's pitch line for you here. Right now he is still on the hook for the 2 runners, second and third. 2-0 count to Schmidt, the pitch. Good fastball, but a little bit low, 3-0. Again, being in this spot, it's a little bit like Hobart did. We can't tell up and down very well. We can see in and out really clearly, but up and down, not our best vantage point. The cripple. Ball 4 and the bases are loaded. Zane Schmidt draws his 38th walk. That's a team high, breaking a tie with Ryan Moritz. Now it's bases loaded, nobody out for Riley Metzger. Riley an RBI single his first time up. 9 home runs on the year. So the Dragons have him loaded up here with 2 already across. That pitch misses low for ball 1 to Metzger.
So 5 straight he's missed with coming out of the pen.
I love the patience the Blue Dragons are showing right now. I think the players got tired of me throwing all the negative numbers at him the last couple of weeks. The pitch. Over but low, ball 2. That's 6 in a row out of the zone by Cantwell.
So when you're Riley Metzger and the pitcher's missed with 6 in a row, how good does this next pitch have to look for you to swing?
Your pitch, your zone. And obviously that pitch wasn't, because it was a pretty good-looking pitch. It's a strike.
But you're right. Riley had a pretty small spot in mind.
Yes.
And it wasn't there, so he lays off of it, and now he kind of opens it up a little bit.
Still on a positive count for Metzger, 2-1. Here's the delivery. In the dirt, good block by the catcher Vance, and count is 3-1. Sartori at third, Nedved at second, Schmidt at first. In middle infield, a double play depth. Corner infielders are back a few steps behind the baseline. The pitch, high pop, may stay in. Third baseman Adam Rella gives a look, and it will land in the construction area. And the count is full to Riley Metzger. A lot of construction happening here at Eck Stadium. The Shockers, who have been in the first base dugout for eons, moving over to the third base side next year. They're going to have new clubhouse, new weight room, just basically an entirely new establishment over on the third base side. And their first base side's pretty sweet. Here's the payoff pitch. Chased a high one, did Metzger. That's a strikeout. And there's 1 away. They'll bring up right fielder Zion Bolin. He struck out his first time. Yeah, the what will become the new visitors clubhouse is pretty sweet. The visitors clubhouse here, what it's about to become, has a sauna down there.
Which will they take over where the Shockers have had, I assume?
Yes, yeah. The Shockers are going over to the third base side. Breaking pitch from Cantwell misses high to Bolin. So a lot of construction here. We were not supposed to have the third base dugout. It was supposed to be pulled out after the Shockers played their final series here a week ago, but weather forced the cancellation of that demolition. The pitch, way outside, 2-0 Bolin. When I was still at the Hutch News, I covered the Shockers for 4 years. It was my primary beat. And just as this ballpark was being built, I switched over to the Dragon beat. So this is my first time up here.
Oh, wow. It's a great perspective.
To a pitch. Low ball 3.
Looking around at the numbers, 330 down the lines, 375 to the power alleys, 390 to straightaway center. It's really no bigger than Hobart Detter.
Right.
But from here, it looks a lot bigger than Hobart Detter.
Here's the cripple. A strike at the letters to Bolin, and now it's 3-1.
Carp, when Zion came up to the box, I had one of those harebrained ideas in my mind. First baseman's really deep, second baseman's deep. Pitcher's a lefty, falls off to the third base side. Push a bunt.
I thought the same thing, actually. Here's the 3-1 to Bolin. High outside, ball 4, and that'll bring in a run. It's 5-0. Sartori will score on the bases-loaded walk, and Zion Bolin drives in his 34th of the year.
But my backup plan would have been take a walk.
Sartori scores, Nedved to third, Schmidt to second. And it's 5-0 Hutch. And Ryan Moritz the batter. Another lefty-lefty matchup. Pitch, strike inside corner at the knees.
The fourth batter he's faced, the first one he started off with a strike.
Pitch. That's the line to left field, down for a base hit. 1 run scores. And they will hold up Schmidt at third. It's 6-0 Blue Dragons. That is a classic Ryan Moritz swing. Inside out, the opposite way to left center. Moritz drives in RBI number 25. It's a 4-run inning and a 6-run Blue Dragon lead. These are the best approaches this year I've seen.
Is there anything prettier in baseball than a lefty that takes it the opposite way?
Oh, it's yeah, you're right. It is aesthetically one of the most pleasing things about baseball.
Mo does that well. Metzger does that well. It's art.
Now Zach Baxley, who's absolutely due. He's 0 for 1. Hits this one well to right, giving chase toward the line is Gordon. He makes the catch. Tagging from third is Schmidt. He will score. Everybody else moves up 90 feet, and it's a 5-run inning and a 7-0 lead. Again, opposite field. Just great at bats right now for the Blue Dragons.
And you know, you talked in his first at bat about the struggles Baxley's been having, but that type of play right there, well hit, opposite way. It was an out, but he got a run home. Those are the type of things that get you out of a slump.
Baxley drives in RBI number 31. Now the Dragons have batted around. The guy who started this all off, Max McGuire, back up at the plate. He started the inning off with a walk and eventually scored on. That's a balk, and the run's going to come in. Cantwell didn't come set. So Bolin scores on the balk. Moritz moves up to third, and it's 8-0 Hutchinson. That was pretty obvious. We can now officially get to the line on Shane Scott. 1+ innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 runs, 5 were earned, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, facing 11 batters and 34 pitches. So you can close the book on him. Now the 11th batter, Max still up with a runner at third, 2 away. The pitch. Fastball misses away, ball 1. 8-0 Blue Dragons. A 6-run second. Now I'm not going to bring that up. I'm just not going to bring up what I was about to bring up because I would get slapped. The pitch. Strike called. I was about to bring up what. No, I'm still not going to bring it up. Sorry. You're going to have to guess. That's the superstitious in me, a superstitious baseball player, me getting the best of me there. Sorry about that, folks. The pitch. Pitch inside, 2-1 to Max.
Carp, I'm over here tweeting. I'm just ignoring you. So as far as I'm concerned, you haven't said anything.
You've done that for years, though, Denny.
That's true. That's true.
2-1 pitch. Off the plate, wide, a breaking pitch. 3-1 to Max. Jeremiah Cesar would be next. McGuire, the 10th batter of the inning. Again, he started this off with a walk. Cesar bunted and reached on an error. Sartori, then singled, and 2 runs scored. High chopper left side. Nice play by the third baseman. Rella sets his feet and throws and gets McGuire to end the inning. But a good turn for the Blue Dragons. 10 come to the plate. 6 runs, 3 hits, 2 Fort Scott errors, and 1 left on. After 2 complete here at Eck Stadium, it's the Blue Dragons 8 and the Greyhounds nothing. Brian Skillman has given up some shots, but has worked 2 scoreless, and he's been staked to an 8-0 lead. Steve Carpenter, Denny Steckline back with you on the Blue Dragon Sports Network. We'll be here with you for the duration of the Blue Dragon stay, and hopefully that will end with a trip to Grand Junction. But a lot of work to be done.
It's way too early, just in the top of the third, but you've got to like what you've seen so far. Skillman bounces that one up there for a ball.
Owen Wilson was robbed of a home run by Zion Bolin, first batter of the game. And he hits one high and deep to right that Bolin tracked perfectly, reached up at the top of the wall and made a spectacular catch. The 1-0. Chopped along first, but foul.
You know, Carp threw 2 innings. Now we're in the top of the third. Fort Scott just now back to the top of the order, so they've sent 9 to the plate. The Dragons, by comparison, have sent 17 to the plate in their first 2 innings. And that difference of 8 just happens to be the number of guys who've scored as he hits another one hard.
Catch made by Zion Bolin again. You cannot take a bat off against this lineup. This is a good swinging lineup. Again, Fort Scott is a team, 72 total home runs and a team batting average of 346. One away for the right fielder, Grant Goldston. Goldston singled his first time up and swings and misses at that Brian Skillman offering. The pitch. Change up, pulled foul. John Hill, the Fort Scott head coach in his 11th season. His wife, Lindsay, the volleyball coach at Fort Scott Community College. Has a very good program going there as well. John, really one of the good guys in this league. He was the association president, the Coaches Association president for several years, and did a really nice job of leading the Coaches Association. The pitch. That one bounces in from Skillman, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Carp, I had the opportunity a few months ago to go to Fort Scott for the first time. Myself and Blue Dragon Athletic Director Josh Gooch took part in a Leadership Institute for community college folks, and we got to see a lot of different campuses and got a lot of impressive things at Fort Scott.
Fort Scott over the years has had pockets of high athletic success. They were a national runner-up in 1971 in football. The pitch.
Well, even more recently than that, too.
They were a national runner-up just a few years ago with Jeff Sims. That's right. They lost to Cam Newton in Blinn College.
Blinn College, exactly.
At Pittsburgh. 3-2 pitch. Foul off again, off to the right.
Cam ever make anything of himself after that stint at Blinn?
You know, you might hear of him every once in a
Every
while.
now and then.
Every
Maybe
now
on
and then.
Sundays.
On Sundays, yeah. He might get a blip or two on ESPN. Once again, the 3-2. Fouled off the end of the bat, straight back. 52 pitches now for Skillman, 29 for strikes. Right now, Ryan Schmidt, especially with an 8-run lead, will ride him as long as he can, but he still will be on a fairly short leash. The pitch. Called strike 3, inside corner. Goldston didn't think so. That is Skillman's second punch out of the day. 2 up, 2 down. Oh, check that, 3. Yes, correct. Thank you. That'll bring up the third baseman, Adam Rellahan.
It's a great pitch on the inside corner. Really nothing the batter could do with it except watch it and hope that it was called a ball. All quiet in the Blue Dragon bullpen at the moment. So as you alluded to, they're going to ride Skilly as long as they can. There's a right-hander throwing in the Fort Scott bullpen.
They check down on the appeal, and third base umpire Jay Sanderson rings him up for a strike. That was a nasty breaking pitch from Skillman. Changeup swung on and missed, nothing in 2.
Rellahan was fooled again. That wasn't a very authoritative swing.
Now where will Skillman and Max McGuire go with this 0-2? Fastball, waste pitch outside. Dan Nacarado was with me for the Labette broadcasts on Saturday. We talked a lot about working the ball up and down to set pitches up. 1-2 pitch in the dirt, 2-2.
Wish a happy belated birthday to Coach Knack. He celebrated yesterday, turning 86 once again.
Normally, we get to have this nice soliloquy about Coach Knack's birthday on the air. The pitch. Hard hit ball right to the second baseman, Sartori. He fields and throws, and it's a 1-2-3 top of the third for lefty Brian Skillman. He works 1-2-3 against the top 3. We go to the bottom of the third here in Wichita. Blue Dragons 8 and the Greyhounds nothing. Dragons hitting bottom half of the third, leading Fort Scott 8-0 in this Central District opening round. Already the Barton Cougars and Cali Tigers have advanced in the winner's bracket. Now the Dragons trying to join them. Here's Jeremiah Cesar. He drops down a bunt along the third base line, but it goes foul. That is what you like to see.
That's what I wish we would see more of from Jeremiah. With the speed he has, left-handed, he's got that several feet head start already. And if we could get him to do more of that, which, as we see right now, third baseman's in even with the bag. And then you can slap it by him if you do decide to swing away.
Cantwell pitches and a swing to center field, tailing away from the center fielder. But it's chased down by Owen Wilson. Nice play for the first out of the third.
We were both hoping that was going to get by him so we could see
oh my goodness.
See the wheels.
If it gets by Owen Wilson, that is a Willie Wilson type moment. Or Gerard Dyson for the younger Royals fans listening in. Here's Logan Sartori, 2 for 2, 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs, both hit singles. Pitch outside, ball 1. The all-league and all-region teams will come out on Monday. I am privy to some information, which I am not allowed to bring out, so sorry about that. I will say the Dragons did all right. Pitches
Good to hear.
Strike on the outside corner at the knees, and it's 1-1.
Can you at least tell me who got PA Announcer of the Year? Or they didn't.
They didn't do that.
Let me guess.
Sorry.
Once again, they're not going to award that one. Are they?
They have hosed you over on that particular award. I keep pushing for it.
I appreciate that.
2-1 the count to Sartori. Bases empty, one away here in the third. The pitch.
You know, when you and I get to tag team and do these, we hear, whether it's on social media or just seeing people at the ballpark, former Blue Dragons and their families. And I see Mary Ruxlow, mother of Alex Ruxlow, former Blue Dragon pitcher, has joined the Hellmans down in the stands. And
high pop by Sartori, and it will get out of play over the Dragon dugout. Now it's 3-2.
Former Blue Dragon Brock Schaefer's tuned in. He's giving me a bad time.
Well, there's a day ending in Y.
Schaefer now down at Central Oklahoma, playing for the Broncos.
Cantwell's payoff pitch to Sartori. Ground ball to short. Merced fields, throws, and they get Sartori for the first time today.
But he's hit it hard all three times, so you've got to like the way he's swinging the bat.
On the ground. That's a great, great sign for Logan Sartori. He's 2 for 3, and now he gives way to his middle field compadre Dylan Nedved. 2 for 2, 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs. Cantwell's pitch. A little bit high, ball 1.
You know what I wish Brock could explain to me, and maybe to you as well. He plays at UCO, the Broncos. Why do they have an H in Broncos?
That's a good question. High chopper left side. Deep short is Merced. There will be no chance to get Nedved. He's 3 for 3. And the Dragons have their 8th hit of the game. That's a great question. We'll see if Schaefer can come up with the answer. Here's Zane Schmidt. Schmidt on base twice, an RBI single in the first, a walk and a run scored in the second. The run scored by Schmidt was his 67th of the year. That ties, or was going to tie Logan Sartori, but Sartori now at 69. Pitch way outside for a ball. Sartori now third on the all-time run scored list, behind a couple pretty good Blue Dragons by the name of Hellman and Cooper.
Hellman and Cooper, I remember those guys.
They did a little bit for the Blue Dragon baseball program.
Yes, they did.
The pitch going outside.
Mentioned earlier, Michael in the Minnesota Twins organization, playing in Fort Myers. Doing well. It's fun to follow those games and see what the former Blue Dragons are doing.
Nedved away from first. There's the pitch. A little bit low. 3-0 to Schmidt. They are definitely pitching Zane carefully. Riley Metzger on deck. Ball 4. So Schmidt walks for a second time. Nedved moves up to second. 2 away for Riley Metzger. An RBI single in the first, and he struck out in his last at bat, 1 for 2.
I should know the answer to this, Cart, but I'm going to ask you because I know you know the answer. Zane did hold on to the league lead in home runs, did he not?
He did.
With 20?
With 20. Lost, he's now second in RBIs behind Hampton Hall of Fort Scott. I think Hall had a huge series against Seward County. I wasn't able to check those numbers. Strike on the inside corner at the knees to Metzger. 0-1. Dragons with 2 in the first, 6 in the second. Looking for some 2-out magic to produce a run here in the third. That pitch a little bit low. And the count even at Metzger 1-1. Had a real fun talk with Riley's dad last week after the Labette series. Cantwell's pitch. Right down the chute for a strike, and it's 1-2.
Riley, one of those Blue Dragons who last summer played for the Hutch Monarchs. It's always a more relaxed atmosphere. We get to know these guys even better during those summer months.
You think we're zany in the press box now? Just give us a couple of weeks.
Yeah. The filters come off even more when we're working the Monarchs games.
1-2 pitch in the dirt. Good stop by Vance. No advancement by the Dragon runners. And Metzger now hits with a 2-2 count.
Sometimes we do kind of get advised that we should not be providing as much feedback to the umpires, because that's one of the things about Hobart Detter is we're not that far from them.
No.
And we're never criticizing, just providing feedback.
Just providing feedback. Well put. 2-2 pitch. Low and outside, full count. So the runners are going to go. 3-2. Full count, 2 out. Nedved at second, Schmidt at first.
Great plate discipline throughout the game by Hutch, because if anything, they're driving pitch counts up.
Here's the 43rd pitch of Cantwell. And it hit him. The Blue Dragon way. Bases are loaded with 2 out as Riley Metzger is plunked for the 12th time this year. And the grand total now at 95, which is 6th most. And John Hill heads out to the mound. There was action, and we are going to have a pitching change. So Fort Scott will go to its 3rd pitcher of the afternoon, and we'll tell you about him after this break. This is Blue Dragon Baseball. Braden Leathers, a right-hander, becomes the 3rd Fort Scott pitcher. Sophomore right-hander. 1-1 record with 6 saves and 11.12 earned run average.
His 18th appearance, all coming out of the bullpen.
Zion Bolin, the batter. Bases loaded, 2 away. And Zion chases on the first pitch and misses for strike 1. Zion has struck out and drew a bases-loaded walk. That part of the 6-run second inning. Slightly open stance for Bolin. Here's the pitch. Bounces in, another good stop by the catcher Vance. And that saved a run because that was ticketed for the backstop.
Good speed at 3rd with Nedved. Zane Schmidt at 2nd. Riley Metzger at 1st.
Leathers 17 innings pitched, 24 hits, 22 runs, 22 strikeouts, 14 walks. The pitch. Off speed, drops in for a strike. 1-2 to Bolin. Nedved at 3rd, Schmidt at 2nd, Metzger at 1st. Dragons still looking for their first run of this inning. Oh, this has happened with 2 outs. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
A couple of nasty breaking balls.
No runs, a hit, a walk, a hit batsman, and 3 left. We've completed 3 here in Wichita. Blue Dragons 8, Greyhounds nothing. Three in the books here at Eck Stadium. Hutch with an 8-0 lead over Fort Scott. They try to advance to tomorrow night's 7 p.m. winners bracket semifinal and will face the Johnson County Cali winner. And that game will be played after the completion of this one. It is the middle third of the order here in the fourth for Fort Scott. Here's Arsik Nakagawa. Big cut and miss. Nakagawa struck out in his first at bat, and Skillman fed him nothing but breaking pitches. Ground ball to third, fielded cleanly by Ryan Moritz. Throws a dart to first, 1 away.
Nice play by Mo. Took a little extra time. Got a good throw across to Baxley.
Now 7 in a row retired by Brian Skillman. And here's Hampton Hall. The league leader in RBIs in the Jayhawk was 73, hitting from the left side. Hall struck out his first time up. Fort Scott had a legit threat working in the first. They had runners at the corners 1 away, and Skillman struck out the 4 and 5 hitters and the 2 players in the Fort Scott lineup that have combined 30-some home runs, and there's a high drive to right and deep. Playable, though, for Zion Bolin. He's got it. 2 away. I'm still getting used to this sight line.
Yeah, well, and Zion there, we could see it with him as he pursued that ball and looking up at the flag, and it's blowing out to left, so across the field from right to left. And Zion moved quite a bit to his right to track that one down.
Now first baseman Andrew Palsy takes a strike. Palsy doubled to lead off the second and was left there. And that was the last base runner for the Fort Scott Greyhounds. A strike called very quickly, 0-2 to Palsy. Good miss on 0-2 on a pitch up the ladder. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. The video guru, Brandon Sams behind the camera. Cherie Sams working the controls. Thanks to both of them. The pitch. Touch foul off to the left and remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. Danny, you have, if you've accomplished anything in your time in the debtor press box, you have firmly made sure that Brandon Sams will never flinch in the press box.
That's right. That's right. He keeps a very stoic approach.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning, and now 9 in a row retired by Brian Skillman. 3 up, 3 down in the fourth. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Dragons 8, Greyhounds nothing. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Blue Dragon Sports Network. Steve Carpenter and Denny Steckline with you. 8-0 Blue Dragons through 3.5. It'll be Ryan Moritz, Zach Baxley, and Max McGuire. Dragons already deep into their third time around the order to face Braden Leathers, the third Fort Scott pitcher of the day. Big cut by Mo. Mo struck out swinging his first time and had an RBI single in the second, 1 for 2. Moritz driving in his 25th run of the year. The pitch. That one bounces in and back to the screen. The pitch. Hit him. Did it? No, it didn't.
I don't think so.
Well, Mo's not making a move toward first, so
No.
that's usually the first sign.
And as a sophomore, he should know better than to get out of the way of those pitches when they're that far inside.
2-1 pitch. Hit up the middle. Ranging to his right is the second baseman, Cesar. Throw. Safe! Mo muscles down the line, dives in head first, and he's safe on an infield single.
Carp, that's a product that's an artificial turf infield single, because the second baseman has to back up a little bit to make sure he plays that on the right hop, and it doesn't take a hop that's going to get by him, and that split second allowed Mo enough time. And the head first slide brings up that whole debate. Do you get there quicker sliding or just running through it?
I still say you don't see 100-meter Olympic runners slide into the finish line. That pitch gets through the catcher to Baxley, and Moritz will go up on a pass ball.
Although there was a race the other day, and I don't know where it was, but it was a track event where the lead runner laid out head first and dove over the finish line.
Well, until I see Usain Bolt do it. There's a high drive, deep left center field. This has got a chance. And it's gone. Talk about breaking out of a slump in a big way. Zach Baxley goes yard to left center field over the 375 sign. It's Bax's 5th home run of the year. RBIs 31 and 32. And Hutchinson leads it now 10-0. How big of a relief do you think that is for Bax?
And Bax knew it because he didn't get into much of a sprint out of the box. He had the home run trot going from the get-go.
Now 10 hits for the Dragons.
And we talked about that in his last at-bat, how that well-hit ball to right on the sac fly can sometimes be what a guy needs to get out of that slump. And sure enough, he sent that one not only over the fence, but it's somewhere across 21st.
Indeed it is. Strike one to Max McGuire. That pitch bounces in. The count is 1-1. That is the 4th home run of the tournament. Cowley's had one, Barton's had one, Butler has had one, and now Zach Baxley with the Blue Dragons. And that is home run number 81 for this 2019 edition. 2-1 the count now to Max. Jeremiah Cesar on deck. Downstairs. How big is Ryan Moritz's Ryan Moritz's hustle single?
No question.
Strike called to McGuire. Now it's a full count.
Got a text from Scott Brooks, one of your cohorts in the athletic department, and you pretty much hung him out to dry after that Labette game last Friday that it was his fault the Blue Dragons lost because he took your van and didn't park it back in the same spot he found it in. And baseball superstition calls for that to cause things to go wrong for the Blue Dragons that day. And Scooter just texted and said it's a good thing he let you park the van today.
Here's the payoff pitch to McGuire. Hit the third. Couple of hops for Rella. Long throw over. One away here in the Dragon fourth. Scott and I, our offices are right next to each other, so we have a lot of conversations. Over the last couple of years, he has learned a lot of baseball superstitions. Now Jeremiah Cesar reached on an error in the first on a sac bunt attempt. Later scored, and then flew out to center field 0 for 1. He was credited with a sacrifice on that bunt attempt. Slices this one toward the Wichita State Indoor Facility, which is quite a facility if you've ever been in there. That is a impressive indoor facility that the Shockers have.
Carp, when they get this new facility built, I assume they're going to tie those two together?
Yes. That'll all be administrative offices, the new clubhouse, new weight room attached to the indoor facility.
Very nice.
Leathers comes set. Now delivers the 0-2. Hit on the right side.
That's going to be trouble.
Big hop for the first baseman. Infield single for Cesar.
Did you see, Jay? Did you see that?
Indeed. He put the Jets on, and it wasn't even close.
Well, did you see? He was looking back at the pitcher as if you're not going to catch me.
Now 11 hits.
And let's just assume he didn't say anything as he ran by.
Yes. Oh, I know. He's pretty soft-spoken.
He is. He's pretty quiet.
Here's Sartori, 2 for 3, a couple of runs scored and 2 RBIs. A pitch in the dirt. Right now, I think the Blue Dragons have the Greyhounds completely and totally shell-shocked. As good as Fort Scott played down the stretch and then sweeping Seward County. Hard hit ball off the glove up the third baseman in the left field. Cesar will stop at third. That'll be a hit for Sartori, his third of the game.
We've said it after every at-bat for Logan so far in this game. Another hard hit ball, and he's hitting it on the ground. He's not trying to lift the ball anywhere.
Now Nedved 3 for 3 with 3 singles, 2 runs scored, and 2 RBIs. Both of those RBIs coming as part of a 6-run second. Here's the pitch. Outside for a ball. Now if you're John Hill, you've got to think about the long trip back through the loser's bracket. It has happened twice in tournament history, both by Cowley, the deepest pitching staff in the Jayhawk over the last 30 years. And that's no exaggeration. The pitch. Over but low, and it's 2-0. For John Hill, do you kind of let Leathers take one for the team? Or do you continue to try to keep this where it is? Pitch high and tight to Nedved, and it's 3-0. What I was avoiding earlier is now part of the conversation. And I'm going to blame Jeff Irons from the Hutch News because he's the one who brought it up. Blow ball 4. Jeff standing off to our left. But the run rule in the Region 6 tournament is 10 runs after 5, 8 runs after 7. And I was going to wait till it was in play. Now Zane Schmidt with the bases loaded and 1 out. And he could really put the run rule aspect of it in big-time fashion. There's a big cut and miss. He was
tried
swinging.
to right there.
He was swinging for 21st and rock is what he was doing and missed. Strike 1. That's the first bad swing a Blue Dragon's taken today. Open stance for Zane. Here's the pitch. He fouls that one off of his foot.
Seeing him foul it off his foot, we've seen 2 instances this season, and Zane didn't do it there, but a Blue Dragon fouls it off his foot. Those previous 2 times, the umpires didn't see it. The ball rolled into fair territory, they got thrown out.
Yep.
Neither of them in those instances sold it.
0-2 pitch. A line shot, right field, that's a base hit. Cesar will score. Here comes Sartori. He will score. Nedved pauses around second, but it slides into third. It's a 3 RBI afternoon for Zane Schmidt, and the Dragons lead at 12-0. And we will have another pitching change. John Hill makes the call to the pen. And we will tell you about the new Greyhound pitcher after this break. This is Blue Dragon Baseball. The Dragons have erupted for 4 runs here in the fourth and now lead Fort Scott 12-0. And John Hill goes to the pen, brings out the fourth pitcher of the afternoon for the Greyhounds. It is J.T. Bell. Bell just 9 1/3 innings pitched over 6 appearances. He's 1-0 with a 5.79 ERA, a right-handed sophomore. 13 hits, 8 runs, 6 earned. He has struck out 10 and walked 5. So the Dragons are with 2 in the second, or 2 in the first, 6 in the second, now 4 here in the fourth.
Still just 1 out here in the fourth. Runners at the corners for Hutch.
Nedved at third, Schmidt at first. He's got a 3 RBI game going, and Riley Metzger, the batter, who has an RBI single, a strikeout, and was hit by a pitch. 1 for 2. 12 runs, 13 hits for the Blue Dragons. No runs, 3 hits for the Greyhounds. That pitch in the dirt. Some discussion at the all-league meeting last night as kind of who would be considered the favorite. Nobody could come up with a consensus pick other than Cali out of the East. Johnson County has a 45-10 record, but they've been scuffling as of late.
Yeah, looking at records, you've got to think Cali and Johnson. Hutchinson certainly out of the West, but don't Cali and Johnson both have better records, overall records, than what the Blue Dragons do?
But the consensus was nobody had a good feel. There's a hot shot. Did it hit the glove? Oh, it's foul. I thought it may have clipped the glove of the first baseman, Palsy, which would have been in fair territory. But neither umpire picked up on it. Toby Cornell was trying to sell it.
He was trying to sell it, and it really had to be the call of the home plate umpire because the first base umpire was trying to get out of the way of it and had not turned to even look to see where it landed.
And plus, he was looking right in the sun. Our first base umpire, a little bit lucky he doesn't get plucked by that one. Pitch in the dirt. Now it's 3-1. But the consensus last night is nobody truly knows how good the teams out of the Jayhawk West are simply because we all beat up on each other all year.
Great point.
Here's the 3-1. Big cut by Riley, and he misses. It's a full count now.
And, you know, you look at the West, and like Pratt playing Cowley in the first round, They really put it to them in Game 2 of that series before falling in Game 3. So there's some, even as you look towards the bottom part of the West, still some very, very strong teams.
Dodge City didn't even make the playoffs and beat Hutch twice.
A great point.
3-2 pitch. That one's hit well to right and deep. Going back is Goldston. He's at the track.
Doesn't have it.
And it's gone! Riley Metzger, a 3-run home run, and it's 15-0 Hutchinson. That's Riley's second postseason home run. Check that third postseason home run. Nope, just a second. My apologies. And he drives in 3 more. That's 4 RBIs on the afternoon for Metzger. Home run number 10, RBIs 51, 52, and 53. That's a 7-run fourth and a 15-0 Hutchinson lead. Nedved and Schmidt score ahead of him. And now the Dragons send their 9th batter of the inning and Zion Bolin to the plate.
Dragons have now batted around for the second time in the first 4 innings of this game.
Strike called at the letters to Bolin on a changeup. 14 hits now for Hutch. The pitch. Inside. Here's the 1-1 to Bolin. He swings and drives one toward the gap in right center field.
I don't think
right
he
fielder
sees
having
it.
a problem, and it's going to drop in between them and go all the way to the wall. This is going to be 3 backs for Bolin. That'll be a straight triple for Zion. Bolin with his first triple of the season.
3rd hit of this game, 3 for 4. Continues to hit the bat or swing the bat well after that weekend against Labette, especially Game 2.
So now Ryan Moritz. Moritz started this whole thing off with a single and scored ahead of Baxley's home run. And pitch in the dirt. Here's the 1-0 to Mo. Chopped along first, but foul. So now Sartori 3 hits, Nedved 3 hits, Schmidt 2 hits and 2 walks, Metzger 2 hits, Bolin the triple, Moritz 2 hits. He's hitting right now. Baxley a hit. McGuire is the only starter without a hit.
I gave Bolin credit for 3 hits. I was on the wrong line. I wrote his triple down for Moritz.
2-1 the count to Mo. The wind and the pitch. Inside 3-1. Shane Scott started for the Greyhounds, went 1+ innings. Dawson Cantwell went an inning in the 3rd. Braden Leathers went 2/3. Now Bell here in the 4th. Or an inning in 3rd for Leathers. Now Bell here in the 4th. That pitch fouled back, and it's a full count now to Bolin, or to Moritz. Been pretty good crowds all day here at Eck Stadium. Cowley and Hutch always draw good-sized crowds. They don't look near as big as they did at Lawrence Dumont, just the way the ballpark's laid out, but good crowds nonetheless. 3-2 pitch, swung on and missed. And that's a strikeout for out number 2. So now Baxley becomes the 11th batter of the inning. Bax grounded out, had a sac fly in the 2nd, and a 2-run home run earlier this inning. 3 RBIs for him. We'll see if he takes that same approach he's taken his last 2 plate appearances. That pitch over his head. The one place you really don't want to...
We'll give him credit for not wearing that one. Because he wasn't ducking much, and the catcher still was...
And Bax is a pretty tall kid. Here's the 1-0. Pitch outside, 2-0. Speculating earlier on how John Hill may use his staff for the remainder of this one. It may be a moot point. Dragons now have a 6-run cushion for the run rule. There's a swing and a miss by Max on a breaking pitch up.
Well, and as you pointed out during the last break when they were making the change, they don't have a pitcher who's gone over 43 pitches today. So really, they're all still in play.
Bell comes set. Now the 2-1. Inside, 3-1.
That one didn't miss by much.
Might have been down, but it looked pretty good from up here in terms of in and out.
Unless it was one of those that broke around the plate, because where the catcher ended up with it, it looked to be in a pretty good spot.
Bowling his lead away from third. 3-1 pitch. Pulled foul. And Jamel Cervantes. Nice. You knew it was coming.
I was going to be disappointed and heartbroken if he hadn't looked up here.
This is a running Twitter battle between Denny and Jamel at the third base box, who has more errors, according to Denny.
You can count on one hand the number of balls he's fielded cleanly.
Back stays alive. He gets fooled on a breaking pitch and barely got a piece of it. I would say this is about a 3-year battle now. At least three.
At least. This is probably year 4. I started doing a lot of the PA and helping you out when Rhino was a freshman.
That's right. That's right. Here's a payoff pitch. That one's hit the left, but coming on is Hampton Hill to make the catch, and the inning is over.
But another hard hit ball. You know, that sac fly is really what flipped the switch for him, we think.
11 come to the plate. 7 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Dragons, and 1 left. We head to the 5th here at Eck Stadium. Our new score, the Blue Dragons 15, the Greyhounds nothing. Welcome back to Eck Stadium. 15-0 Blue Dragons. Run rules are 10 after 5, 8 after 7. So the Dragons have a 5-run cushion here in the 5th to try to end this. It'll be Cesar and Merced and Vance 7, 8, 9 to face Brian Skillman. And Cesar lines one into left field, and that ends a streak of 9 in a row retired by Skillman. First hit since Palsey's double in the 2nd, and just the 4th of the game allowed by Skillman.
All quiet in the Blue Dragon bullpen, and the ones down there look pretty relaxed. So I think Coach Schmidt told Skillman, this is yours, and get this thing wrapped up.
There's Robbie Merced. Merced grounded to third baseman Ryan Moore. It's his first time. Skillman's pitch. First pitch swing is a high fly right center. Long run for Cesar. He makes the catch. Cesar was 2/3 of the way down, and then Cesar one-hops Baxley. Another outstanding play by a Blue Dragon outfielder in this one. I didn't think either one of them had a chance to make it.
Carp, you've got a lot more history with this team than I do, but when's the last time you saw that kind of speed in the outfield that could really, I mean, if he doesn't get that, there's a runner on third and a run home.
You're going to think this is funny because we were just picking on him, but Jamel Cervantes, when he's healthy.
Absolutely. When he had hamstrings.
Jeff Vance takes the ball. This one's lifted to center field. Playable for Cesar. Off to his right. He's got it for out number 2.
You know, and you're right. We pick on Jamel a lot. We have a lot of good-natured ribbing, but one of the best Blue Dragon baseball players when you go back in history.
You better believe it. Part of the 2010 World Series team, a consummate leadoff hitter with power. He hit one in Grand Junction against San Jack that I'm not sure has quite landed yet.
Went on to play Division I ball at Cincinnati.
Yep. Here's Owen Wilson. 0 for 2. Robbed of a home run by Zion Bolin in the first at bat of the game, then lined out to Bolin his last time up. That pitch bounces in. McGuire keeps it in front of him. Again, throwing the mask off to the side.
Exactly. He did. Good.
And I'm still not sure. I looked at the video that night, and I pulled it up on my big screen at home, and I still don't think he touched the ball with the mask. The pitch. Great fastball outside corner at the knees.
And, you know, going back to that, as you said, it was against Redlands. It was a non-conference game, midweek, one game. But by Coach Schmidt saying we were playing it under protest, what that meant is they had to get that call absolutely right, or you had to resume the game, and it was in the top of the 7th, top of the 8th. And Redlands didn't want to come back to Hutch, and frankly, we didn't want to make them come back to Hutch.
Exactly. 1-2 the count to Wilson. Skillman out of the stretch. The 1-2. Misses high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. But it was a hilarious moment because with the break, I tried to talk as much through it as I could. I had to take 2 phone calls from Josh Gooch and Schmitty. They were checking on the rules with me. 2-2 pitch, bounces in, full count now to Owen Wilson.
Well, and after Schmitty went out and argued it the first time, as he was walking back to the dugout, he looked up at us and said, "Am I right?" And we said, yes, you are, which is when he turned around, did a 180, and went back and filed the protest. We knew the 3 bases were wrong. We just weren't sure what it was supposed to be.
Runner goes from first. High fly down the left field line. Should get out of play and will. Splitting the 2 batting cages right down the middle. Teams hitting are hitting in those outdoor cages, not in the indoor facility. That would be absolutely cool if they got to hit indoors.
Absolutely, yeah. Be a great kind of a recruiting advantage for Wichita State, letting some of these guys see their facilities.
Shocks are at South Florida this weekend in a huge series for them. 3-2 pitch, runner goes. High and inside, ball 4. 2 on and 2 out. And that is the first walk issued by Brian Skillman. He's allowed now 4 hits. He has struck out 4. And now right fielder Grant Goldston, 1 for 2. A balk called on Skillman. And
shame on me, Carp. I wasn't watching. I was making a note, so I did not see what he...
I was jotting down stuff myself on the computer.
Well, the consensus up here is we heard the umpire call balk, and that's all we know.
Now it's 2nd and 3rd, 2 out. If Skillman can complete it, it'll be the Hutchinson's 2nd straight shutout. That one's hit toward the gap right center field. Caesar's not going to get to this one, and 2 runs are going to score.
Caesar's pulled up lame, Carp.
He did. Heading for 3rd is Goldstrom, and he's in safely with a 2-run triple. Now our attention turns to Jeremiah Cesar out in right center field, who is injured.
Carp, he was he was just making his way towards the ball, and it looked to me he'd kind of come to a stop and was letting Bolin field it, and then he just went down to the turf. And I don't know if he cramped.
With the heat, that is a very real possibility, but we do not want to speculate.
No. sports medicine staff, and he's up pretty quickly.
Ryan Hilty here this afternoon with the HCC Sports Medicine. And I think Jeremiah's going to stay in the, or is he?
If anything, at this point, it's 15-2. We're in the 5th inning. Get him out for precautionary reasons, if nothing else. And see Ethan White down playing catch with, I think that's Will Reitz.
Yep.
I'm going to guess Will's going to go in Jeremiah's place. Looks a little bit wobbly coming off, but it doesn't look like he's favoring anything. And there goes Reitz into center field. He'll take Cesar's place.
So Jeremiah Cesar leaves the game, hopefully for just precautionary measures. He is walking off under his own power with Ryan Hilty. Not a pronounced limp or anything, but it's still a little bit wobbly. So again, Danny hit the nail right on the head. 15-2, take him out and get him doctored up and see if we can't get him ready for tomorrow.
We talked earlier about the size of the field, and there's a lot of real estate to cover out there, and and he's the type of competitor that even if he is favoring something, if there's a ball hitting one of those gaps, he's going to go after it, and you don't need him to aggravate something. And we'll hope and think cramps.
So now Adam Rellahan takes a ball from Brian Skillman. Now it's ball 2. Dragons still have a cushion here. 1 out to go. Pitching out of the windup with the runner at third, the pitch. Way high, ball 3. If you're Ryan Schmidt, in terms of the situation, if Skillman would happen to lose him, you might start loosening somebody. Try to end this thing in 5. There's a strike, and it's 3-1 now to Rellahan.
McDonough's been up a couple of times, but I don't know that that's where I would go.
I would save him now. He has been simply scintillating in long relief. Outside, ball 4, and Rellahan walks.
This may be a time, you don't need to worry about a change, but maybe a quick trip, and that's exactly what we're going to get from Ryan Schmidt. And he's trotting out there, so this is just one of those, hey, calm down. You've got 1 out to get. That's all we need. Don't worry about the guys at first and third. Focus on the guy at the plate.
Maurice Nakagawa will be the batter. Now you're getting into the true power portion of this Fort Scott lineup. Nakagawa 13 home runs and Hampton Hall 18 after him. 2 in the first, 6 in the second, 7 in the fourth for Hutch. Fort Scott on the board with 2 here in the top of the 5th. Of course, the run's coming with 2 out, and that's been something that I've harped on throughout a good portion of the season. A little bit low from Skillman, ball 1. I wonder if that long last delay didn't affect Brian a little bit. His stuff doesn't seem to be nearly as sharp. Matt Hopkins starts heading down toward the pin. Now it's 2-0.
Carp, you and I talked about this on Sunday, and credit to you because you looked it up, but I posed the question to you. How many times this season have the Blue Dragons scored either in the top half or bottom half of an inning and immediately given up at least 1 run in the next half inning?
Number is staggering.
Unbelievable. And it just happened again for the 74th time this season. And if that continues, Coach Schmidt's going to be coming to me for advice on hair care because he's going to look like I do. And folks, there isn't anything there.
2-2 now to Nakagawa. The lefty comes set and delivers. Whoa. Didn't miss by much.
It didn't. I'm going to agree with the ump here that it was inside. Max McGuire comes out and tells Baxley, don't worry about holding this guy on, especially with a full count.
3-2.
But with a 13-run lead, you shouldn't worry about that anyway.
Here's the payoff pitch. Got him swinging, and that's the ball game. The Dragons get a run rule victory in 5 innings over Fort Scott, 15-2. And now advance to tomorrow night's 7 p.m. winners bracket semifinal, and will face the winner of the next game coming up at 7 o'clock between Johnson County and Colby. Dragons get the win. We'll wrap it up right after this break. Welcome back to Tyler Field Eck Stadium in Wichita, everybody. Steve Carpenter and Denny Steckline with you. Blue Dragon post game. And it's a happy one for Hutchinson. They defeat Fort Scott in 5 innings, 15-2. A solid effort by Hutchinson today, both offensively and defensively. 2 great outfield catches by Zion Bolin and Jeremiah Cesar. And Brian Skillman, another gutty effort on the mound and getting the victory. Here are the totals for the just completed game. The Blue Dragons now 41-19 overall. 15 runs, 15 hits, no errors, 7 left on base. For Fort Scott, 2 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors, 5 left on base. The winning pitcher is Brian Skillman. He improves to 2-0. Shane Scott takes the loss. He falls to 7-5. And the time of ball game in 1 hour and 51 minutes. The Blue Dragons with 2 home runs in this one. Riley Metzger hit his 10th of the year, and Zach Baxley hit his 5th. So the Blue Dragons get 15 runs on 15 hits, 2 in the first, 6 in the second, and then 7 more in the fourth. And Denny Steckline, outside of an at-bat here, or not an at-bat, but a swing here, a swing there, some tremendous at-bats by Blue Dragon hitters today.
You know, in the pregame we talked about it, Carp, that a couple of things needed to happen. We needed to keep pitching like they'd been pitching lately, and tip of the cap to Brian Skillman. He did exactly that, going the distance. 5 inning, giving up just the 2 runs in the top of the 5th when it was really out of reach with a 15-0 lead at that time. And the bats needed to wake up. And as we talked, we saw a lot less swinging for the fences and a lot more swinging for contact, getting on base. And kudos to Hutch for doing just that and really putting the pressure on Fort Scott from the get-go, scoring in the first and second, having an 8-0 lead after 2 innings, and forcing them to really play a very defensive comeback style, and it just wasn't in the cards for them today. So 15-2 victory moves the Blue Dragons on to Thursday night at 7 o'clock back here at Eck Stadium. And as you've shared, playing the winner of the Johnson County Colby game that's coming up next.
And I will have that updated. As soon as that final comes in, we'll update that on the Blue Dragons Twitter page. To your point about the offense, Denny, 8 of the 9 Blue Dragon starters with hits. All 9 Blue Dragon starters scored at least 1 run, and 6 of the 9 drove in runs. Great balance up and down the lineup. Again, this, for me, the best overall offensive game of the year.
Yeah, and the one who didn't have any hits was Max, but Max walked. He scored, called a great game behind the plate, and did the things you want out of your catcher.
Logan Sartori 3 for 4, 3 singles, 3 runs scored. Dylan Nedved 3 for 3 and a walk. He drove in 2 and scored 3. Zane Schmidt 2 for 2, a pair of walks, 2 runs and 3 RBIs. Riley Metzger 2 for 4, a home run, 4 driven in and a run scored. Zion Bolin 1 for 3 with a triple, a run and an RBI. Ryan Mortz 2 for 4, a run and an RBI. Zach Baxley, a home run, 1 for 3, 3 RBIs. Max McGuire again 0 for 2 at the run. Jeremiah Cesar 1 for 2. We hope he's not too badly injured. And we'll try to get an update for tomorrow's broadcast. But the Dragons get it done. And then kind of lost in the shuffle with the offense was Brian Skillman. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. He had thrown the shutout for 4 2/3 innings. He struck out 5 and walked 2, and with 90 pitches. So the Brian Schmidt doesn't have to go to the bullpen, and that just pushes everything back a day. And today couldn't have gone any better.
No, really couldn't have. Let's just hope they left some hits in those bats, and I'm sure they did. But to put 15 on the board and only have to burn one arm. And you probably said it, Carp, but what was Skilly's pitch count?
90.
90. Okay, so very manageable number. Probably burns him for the rest of the week, but everybody else is available.
And that's a good sign when you're playing in an 8-team double elimination tournament. That's going to wrap it up. One in the books here at Wichita. The Blue Dragons now 41-19. They will await the Colby-Johnson County winner. That game coming up at 7 o'clock. My thanks to Brandon Sams and Cherie Sams running the controls on the stream. My thanks to Denny Stecklife for joining us. Thanks to all of you for joining us. We'll be back on the air if things stay on schedule tomorrow night. 6:45 airtime, 7 p.m. first pitch for the winners bracket semifinal of the Central District Tournament here at Eck Stadium in Wichita. Until then, Steve Carpenter. So long, everybody.